The American empire is over. We're done. We peaked about 12, 15 years ago, and we are on a down. And it's very hard for the American people, which I understand. I am one. It's hard to get your head around that. We've had a century of on the way up, which is a lot more fun than on the way down. But it does happen to every empire. We're only the latest. Look at the British, how far they've fallen. We're in that process. So the problem with the trickle down is, yeah, there might be more jobs, but they're going to be created in China. They're going to be created in Brazil. They're going to be created in India. They're not created here. The best electric vehicles in the world right now, but by uniform global agreement, are produced by something called the BYD Corporation, which probably most folks have never heard of, which is Chinese. BYD, the initials, BYD. They make the best quality, cheapest electric car and truck. All right. You don't see them anywhere in the United States. Why not? Because Mr. Trump put a 27% tariff on them, and Mr. Biden raised it to 100%.
And people will be forced to buy U.S. stuff.
Right.
Which then creates U.S. jobs, which again stimulates the economy.
All right, let me be the economist. Okay? That's good for the Tesla company, which I'm sure is purely coincidental, and GM and Ford and the others. Good. And they'll maybe be able to hold on to some jobs. Good. But now let's follow the bouncing ball, because that's my job as an economist.
Yeah.
Everywhere else in the world, every company in Asia, Africa, Latin America that competes with an American company that has to buy a truck as part of its business will go to China and buy the best truck at the lowest price, $30,000, the best truck. No American company that competes with them will do that. And you know what that means? Those companies will be able to charge a lower price because they have better inputs than the American company, which doesn't. In the long run, that will lose Americans' jobs left and right as they're outcompeted by all the rest of the world that can go and buy, and is buying, BYD trucks. If you go to Europe right now and you go on the auto routes all over Europe, you'll see BYD cars and trucks. America is shooting itself in the foot. If you take the United States together with the other G7 countries, that used to be the dominant bloc of the world, right? The United States, let's just enumerate them so everybody knows. Canada, Japan, Germany, France, Italy, and Britain, okay? The G7. And I'm going to add up all the GDP, gross domestic product, total output of goods and services of all of those 7 countries, U.S. and its major allies. And now I'm going to compare it to the gross added up GDPs of China and its allies, known now as the BRICS. Okay, you add up the United States, about 28% of world output. You add up China and the BRICS, it's 35% of the world output. We aren't the wealthiest bloc in the world. We're number 2. And that's new. And that changes everything. Stop. And you can rattle your sabers all over the board. You put the 7th Fleet in the South China Sea. Isn't going to change that. You've got to come to terms with that, but we are led by people who don't want to do that because nobody wants to be the politician who has to explain to the people it's over.
Yeah, guys. So that's Richard Wolff. He's one of the fairly well-known economists. And the reality of it is, yes, we're cooked, guys. And I think, obviously, Donald Trump is doing everything in his power to speed that process up. I mean, he launches a trade war with our allies. He launches a trade war with our allies, tariffs the hell out of them, and these allies are like, wow, the U.S. is acting crazy. So what do? They cozy up to China, right? Maybe it's better off working around the U.S. instead of working directly with them. If he's going to sit there and tariff the hell out of us, we'll work with China. And China is one of those countries that they invest in the infrastructure of other countries. They come in there, they build infrastructure, they create business deals, trade deals, and they're building relationships while you have Donald Trump like pretty much putting out the middle finger to the rest of the world and thinking he's going to get respect that way. And that's why a lot of these guys have to resort to going to war, literally, these neocons and stuff, because they don't see any way out of this situation, I mean, this guy's done bombing campaigns, arming a genocide. There's this like war going on in scientific research. He shut down foreign students. They have to check your entire social media. If you're a foreign student, if you support a cause, they're not letting you in the country. And what happens is you get what we call like a brain rot. You have a generation of kids who are on their phones 24/7, don't value education. And so now, people are like, I don't want to come here. I don't want to come here. And then, you find some post on social media saying, hey, don't kill kids in Gaza. And then you get sent to a gulag in El Salvador, right? A concentration camp with no due process. And it's like, why would I take that risk? No, I'll just go do business somewhere else. I'll go to China. I'll go to Japan. I'll go to all these other countries that are, these BRICS nations that are coming up. Even Russia. Russia's economy is amazing right now, right? China's moving intelligently, and that's how empires are built. It's not about what Trump's strategy is. He thinks he's going to win the world over by throwing up the middle finger and be like, oh yeah, we're big badass America. You have to do what we say, and we're going to tariff the shit out of your... That's why he had to remove all his tariffs. He went down on them because the rest of the world's like, dude, fuck you. We'll work around this shit. We'll go work with China. We'll work with... obviously China's the big threat, and China's one of these countries that are like, yo, we're going to come and invest in your country. We're going to build some infrastructure. We're going to provide you aid. We'll do a deal for some type of natural resource, and that way we can win you over, and you don't have to deal with Donald Trump, right? And so, what American politicians have done since after, I would say, like the Reagan era, or even before that, they think that, hey, we could just bribe whatever government, right? And we'll have them under our thumb, and it gives you some type of leverage. That's not working out anymore, right? So, I mean, the guy, like, what he's doing now is and this is not just Trump. This has been going on since Reagan. They're purposely trying to destroy America. There's no other way. There's really no other way around it. I mean, and Trump's policies are just, I mean, this guy pulled out of like the Paris Climate Agreement, and he pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal, and then he wants to renegotiate the same deal he negotiated with Iran that he pulled out of. What the fuck? What's going on, dude? You can't piss the entire world off and think that the entire world won't say, you know what? We're not dealing with you guys anymore. This new BRICS thing, right? We're finding alternatives. We don't want to deal with America anymore. All right? I want to divert your attention to the statistic here, guys. This is just an eye-opening situation. And this just shows also the decay of the social net, like the social, just society in general, especially in America and the West. So this is a graph, an estimated percentage of 30-year-olds who are both married and homeowners from 1950 to 2025, right? Only 12% of 30-year-olds are married and own a home. This is absolutely tragic. It went from half of 30-year-olds being married and own a home in 1950, and in 2025, you got 12%, or maybe even less than that. This looks like it's like 7 or 8%, right? And this trajectory, this downward trajectory, has been going on since 1950. And you have a situation where, like, okay, the top 1% is obviously taking the 99% of our income. They own 99% of the wealth. And you have, like, this huge wage gap. On top of that, we could get into, like, radical feminism and how, the feminization of masculinity, all that is affecting marriages and relationship bonding and building, and lowest testosterone levels ever recorded in history. All these things combined are causing, pretty much like also a low birth rate, where you have other denominations around the world who are outpacing us as far as like making babies, right? Outpacing Americans. You got Muslims coming into Europe, procreating, doubling the population of Europe now. Like, I think the number one name in Europe is Muhammad. Okay. And you have other minority groups within the United States procreating, and it's diluting. It's they're surpassing like their I guess their American counterparts, you know. And how's this sustainable? How's this sustainable? It's you know, how is this fucking sustainable? Pretty soon people are gonna just leave. You know, you're gonna have a mass exodus. You're gonna have a country like China, which looks like, I mean, if you guys have seen China's infrastructure and their architecture and what they're building there, I mean, it's fucking amazing, right? People are gonna be like, dude, I'm out. Or they move to Saudi Arabia or to Dubai or Japan or China. You know, because people are gonna get sick of it. They're like, what the hell is going on here? Right? The brainwashing, the propaganda on social media. You have women saying like, you know, they're pretty much doing a full-on genocide with the whole abortion stuff. That's actually a domestic genocide that's going on, by the way. Massive amounts of abortion. So, yeah, this isn't sustainable, guys. And unfortunately, it's going to continue to decay and slow down. Even if you have like a president who comes in and he's like, okay, I'm reversing all these policies. I want to have good relationships with the entire world. I want to invest in these countries instead of treating them like slaves to the American empire. I don't want to go to war because everybody's like militarily well equipped. You know, it's not like what it was in the 40s and 50s where we were at the peak of our military level. So I want to do all that. But then you're going to have countries that are going to say, well, okay, what happens after 4 years when you get another Trump in office? Or Obama or any of these other guys? Like, none of these guys were good, you know, because they all contributed to this shit. Trump's just a fucking Joe Biden third term, really. Like, let's just be honest. He's a Barack Obama fourth term. If you really look at it, like, he's even worse because he's like, you know, he's outwardly tariffing our allies and cutting ties. He's pulling out of agreements that he's supposed to honor. You know, what's this gonna do, man? All these countries are gonna eventually say, okay, we're good, let's work with somebody else. Okay, and what's the next best thing? China, right? So they're playing the game correctly, man. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comment sections down below. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think about what Richard Wolff had to say. Peace.